If you got started with Squarespace a few years ago, you might be a little jealous about all of the cool features, upgrades, and updates that version 7.1 can do. In this episode, we're going to talk about my pro tips for migrating your website from an older version of Squarespace to the latest version known as 7.1. Welcome to Think Inside the Square, a podcast full of quick tips and tricks that will help you create a Squarespace website that you're proud of. I'm your host, Becca Harpain, creator of InsideTheSquare.co, and in this episode, I'll be sharing my top 3 tips and my favorite 2 resources that will help you transfer your site from an older version of Squarespace to the latest one known as 7.1. To be super duper clear, the term Squarespace is a trademark of Squarespace Incorporated. This content is not affiliated with Squarespace Incorporated. For a transcript of this episode, along with the links to any resources mentioned, visit InsideTheSquare.co/podcast. The idea of moving your website to the latest version of Squarespace sounds like a lot of work, and honestly, I know firsthand that it is, but I also know that it's worth it in the long run. The team at Squarespace is constantly making changes to the program, adding new features and awesome new options like the new Squarespace Courses feature, and these are only available in the latest version. So the truth is, if you've even been considering switching, it's definitely the time to do it. Now, in this episode, I have 3 tips and 2 resources that I want to share with you, but definitely check out the show notes InsideTheSquare.co/podcast. Now, the first tip is to think of this as a redesign. All of these features and functions that I'm talking about, there are features and functions not found in version 7 that you can use to make amazing design changes. So I want to encourage you to spend some time exploring the templates at squarespace.com. Check out some of the latest layouts and different design options just in case they can spark some innovative ideas for your content. This really is your opportunity to change the structure. Now, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You don't have to change layouts that you love, but there are some really cool things you might not be aware of that can really elevate the design of your website. So if you're going to move everything over, you might as well consider this a full redesign and see if there are any cool features you want to try. Again, click around some of the templates. Check out the mobile version as well and see if there's some unique options or unique layouts that you might not have considered for your site in the past. My second tip is to create an element page. To be honest, I have stolen this tip from my WordPress days. An element page is a page you have in the not linked section of your site, and this page has an example of everything. All of the heading text types, paragraph text with links in bold and italicized fonts, add some forms, a newsletter form, a contact form, an image block, all 3 types of buttons, anything you might use, maybe an accordion block or a quote or an audio block. Set this up in a page in the not linked section of your site. So creating this elements page lets you see how all of these elements work together on your site. So when you're updating your site styles, changing up the color themes and changing up font families, you'll be able to see how all of these elements interact with each other. This elements page is in the not linked section of your site. You can toggle off the enable page option so no one can navigate to it. It's for your eyes only, but it's a great opportunity to see how everything looks together when you're going to want to use it on your website. Again, in version 7.1, you're going to find these options for color themes and font options, things that you never had access to before in older versions of Squarespace. And this elements page gives you a chance to see how all of it works together so you can have a really cohesive look for your website. All right, my third tip is to create your own template. In version 7.1, we have the ability to save a page section. Now, these page sections can be referenced when you're building other content on your site, so you can literally make your own template. I want you to create a page, also in the not linked section of your site, and on that page, build out the sections you'll likely use more than once. Maybe you have a hero banner with a headline, subheadline, and a call to action. Build out that template, make it look amazing on desktop and close enough to perfect on mobile, and then save it so you can easily use it when you're building out additional pages. All you have to do is change out images or text, but the layout is done. Using this technique to create my own templates with saved sections in Squarespace saved me a ton of time with my latest redesign, and it's my third piece of advice and honestly, my favorite. Now, the 2 resources I wanted to mention. The first is my Getting Started course. It's a 9-lesson, $27 course that walks you through version 7.1. Some of this stuff you probably already know if you've built on version 7, But some of it you don't. I've got helpful things like a setup checklist, an overview of the new page types and page section types, and a general how-to for making a site in the latest version. I also updated it to cover the new menu structure. In August 2023, we got a huge change to where things are inside your website menu. Things like how to add custom CSS, how to access the favicon or your other site settings. I have a whole video overview that walks you through where all of this stuff is. So again, that's my Getting Started course, and you can find it at insidethesquare.co/start. That's insidethesquare.co/start. Now, the second resource I wanted to mention is one of my favorites that I'm actually using right now for my own blog redesign, my website workbook. I created this Notion database that I use to keep track of literally everything about my site. Everything from my color themes and font families to my custom codes and product listings, the categories and tags for my blog posts, where my social share images are. You get the idea. It's literally everything. Now, this Notion doc I built out as a template so you can grab a copy of it and use it for any website project you create. It will help you keep track of everything about your website in one place. You can grab a copy at insidethesquare.co/workbook. That's insidethesquare.co/workbook. All right, let's recap this really quick. My top 3 tips. Number 1, think of it as a redesign. Check out the templates at squarespace.com and see if there are any creative layouts or new features that you might not have considered when creating your website on the older version of Squarespace. This is your chance to redesign it, so spend a little bit of time to see if you have any innovative ideas for your content creation. The second tip is to create an element page, a page in the not linked section of your site that has all types of headings, text, paragraph text, image blocks, button blocks, everything set up on one page. So when you're working in your site styles menu, you can really create a cohesive look for all of the types of content blocks that you'll use on your site. My third piece of advice is to create your own templates. Create a page in the not linked section of your site and design page sections that you're going to use more than once. Once it's close enough to perfect for desktop and mobile, save those sections and use them when building out the actual pages of your site. Build your own template, so all you have to do is swap out images and text. They'll be perfectly designed and save you a ton of time. Now, the 2 resources I mentioned, the first is my Getting Started course, a 9-lesson overview that walks you through the setup and settings, available in version 7.1. You can find it at insidethesquare.co/start. And the second resource was my website workbook, this Notion database that I built to keep track of everything about my Squarespace website. You can get a copy at insidethesquare.co/workbook. All right, that wraps it up for this quick episode. I hope these tips and resources help you with your big update project. And if there's anything you wish that 7.1 could do that you can't seem to find a solution to, let me know. I am always eager for more tutorial ideas. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Think Inside the Square. I have a lot more to share with you about making an amazing Squarespace website that's uniquely yours. So be sure to subscribe to this podcast wherever you happen to be listening to this episode. Thanks again for listening. And most importantly, have fun with your Squarespace website. Bye for now.